G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, today at the New South Wales Parliament inquiry into John Barilaro, they started asking questions about John Barilaro's former mistress and current girlfriend, Jennifer Lugsden. And that's absolutely dynamite because John Barilaro's due on the witness stand on Monday, so they're obviously warming up to absolutely drill him about that. And that raises a number of questions. Number one, him abusing his position as a minister, as an MP, having a relationship while they were still married with a staff member, and also helping her potentially get a role at the government department he was overseeing, Investment New South Wales. It also raises questions about his evidence he gave last year, where he's alleged to have perjured himself when Gladys Berejiklian's barrister asked him about any personal relationships. Had he declared them all intimate personal relationships? She was definitely alluding at least to the relationship he was having with Jennifer Lugsden. He knew it, he was ducking and weaving. And and there's a complaint that been made that he did perjure himself. Also, we're waiting for the final report from last year, the ICAC inquiry into Gladys Berejiklian, where I have no doubt in her final submissions she's probably named Jennifer Lugsden, and we're about to find out when they do hand down the final report. I understand it's probably going to be handed down sometime in the next month or two. Anyhow, let's listen to what they started saying in Parliament, or the questions they started asking John Barilaro's former Chief of Staff, Siobhan Hamblin, in relation to Jennifer Lugsden. They don't use the name Jennifer Lugsden, but they're talking about a former senior media advisor, which was Jennifer Lugsden. She was working for John Barilaro, and then in August 2021 she moved over to Investment New South Wales, which is the government department John Barilaro was overseeing. And it turns out that Siobhan Hamblin gave a reference. She was telephoned by the recruitment people and asked for a reference for Jennifer Lugsden. So let's have a listen to the questions I was saying in Parliament today.
Thanks, Mrs. Hamblin. I just wanted to ask a question about, particularly around August or so last year, 2021. How many media advisors did you have in the office at the time?
Somewhere in the order of four or five, I believe.
And did one of those advisors leave the office in August 2021?
Yes.
And did that advisor end up going to work for Investment New South Wales?
I believe so.
Do you know what the circumstances were in relation to that appointment to Investment New South Wales?
I'm not.
So, you had a senior advisor. She'd obviously been there for quite a long time, and you're in the middle of lockdown, as you'd previously said. Were you disappointed that you were losing such a senior staff member out of the office?
I'm just wondering, given that I'm going to speak to someone's employment, if I could give it in camera.
We've only got 10 minutes, and I'm not going to ask you a lot of questions about it. But I am asking you. I'm not asking you to give judgment on her performance. I'm just asking about the circumstances with which she left the role in your office and became a senior advisor in Investment New South Wales.
Can I just take the point of order that if we're not going to go into camera, that the witness be reminded that she can take the question of notice.
Yes.
I can keep it high level. My understanding is that for various reasons, one of the senior media advisors was looking for work outside of ministerial offices for some time. As to the way in which that appointment happened or how that came to place are matters for her, not for me. But of course, I took great pride in having a team that worked hard, and they worked well, and we had a really great team. And of course, I would have was disappointed to see a member of my staff leave.
Did you have conversations with Mr. Barilaro in relation to the loss of this staff member?
I would have had conversations in relation to filling the role and how we would then go about managing the team in the way that it would then operate.
And did you ever speak to Investment New South Wales about finding a job for this staff member, given that you knew that she was looking to leave?
No.
Do you know whether Mr. Barilaro did?
That's a question for Mr. Barilaro.
He never spoke to you about that?
No.
And you're not aware how your senior media advisor got the job with Investment New South Wales?
I'm not.
Were you asked to provide a reference
I was.
by, did the senior media officer nominate you as a reference?
Yes.
When did she do that? Or he did that? She did that.
I can't recall the timing of it.
Were you interviewed as part of that reference?
Yes.
Was that by people inside Investment New South Wales?
No, from memory it was a recruiter.
Okay. And you were vouched for her performance, I presume?
Yes.
And provided a recommendation that was favourable?
Yes.
And presumably the reason you were nominated was because at that point in time you were her direct manager, correct?
Yes. But I would like to point out that as a chief of staff during my tenure, a number of staff left, and for most part, I took great pride in being able to offer references because I had a great team, and any suggestion that they weren't, I took great. I welcomed the opportunity for my staff to move on to other things and provide, where appropriate, the right references for them to do so.
Do you know how many other staff, while you were the chief of staff, ended up with jobs within the portfolio that Mr. Barilaro held?
I couldn't. I don't have that off the top of my
Could you
head.
take a notice for us?
I can, but I mean, I'd have to. I wouldn't have access to that information.
She has,
I have no access
To
to
the best
that.
of your
The
recollection.
best of recollection. I mean, you clearly recall this one. Do you recall any others?
Yeah, I'd have to take it on notice.
Now, you've heard those questions. They were obviously just setting the platform for when John Barilaro, I understand from memory, that he's going to give evidence next Monday, the 8th of August 2022. Obviously, that could change, but if it's still scheduled for next Monday, it's going to be absolute dynamite. They've set the groundwork to start asking him plenty of questions about Jennifer Lugsden, and he's not going to be real happy about that at all because, like I said, there's a lot of issues there that could come back to bite him in relation to his relationship with her. And as it currently stands, I did a video the other day, and I think I did an article as well, that Jennifer Lugsden is currently under investigation by New South Wales ICAC and also the New South Wales Police. As reported last week, John Barilaro is under investigation by the New South Wales Police for assaulting a cameraman. And as I pointed out in that article and the video I produced, there's also a video of Jennifer Lugsden attacking the cameraman as well. Anyhow, for anyone who wants to know more about the background, I've set up a John Barilaro New South Wales ICAC, New South Wales Police Parliament Inquiry page on my website, and I'll put a link below this video on YouTube, so you can go to that page and read up on all the background. Other than that, make sure you visit my new Kangaroo Court of Australia t-shirt page or website and grab yourself a t-shirt, and please share this video and on YouTube. You're already on YouTube. Please share it on Facebook and Twitter, etc. Thank you for your time and have a good day.